What's going on, guys? Aarava here, and welcome back to the Pitlane podcast, episode number 68 today, with your usual hosts, myself, Callum, and Tom. Today we'll be reviewing and looking back at the Brazilian Grand Prix, and then taking a look at some of the talks in Formula 1, mostly about engines for next year, and also tyres, which came out kind of late, and also maybe a little bit about, related to tyres, the McLaren test was cancelled for security reasons. That's a whole other issue. But the Brazilian Grand Prix as a whole, obviously it's been 3 days by the time we post this, but I think all three of us really enjoyed it. I think as I remember us talking about it on Sunday straight after the race. Enjoyable one to watch, especially with Ricciardo and Hamilton coming back through.
Oh, definitely. It was obviously not as good as last year's, but with a wet race, that's always going to be different. But I don't know, just carrying on the momentum of the good races at the end of this season, seeing a very, very close at the front, even though there might not be as much overtaking, still really close. I think the top four separated by 5 seconds. Again, like Aarava, you said, drivers coming through the field, Hamilton and Ricciardo both pulling off incredible overtakes, and even through the field as well, and a bit of a messy lap one just to spice it up, a bit of a safety car. Can't go wrong, really, with only one race to go. I think if we get a good Abu Dhabi, I think we've had a very good season in terms of just general action.
I'm going to disagree with you. I think that race was actually on par with 2016, if not a little bit better. I thought 2016 was just a Verstappen show, but I thought this year there was just a bit more. You had Alonso trying to get past Massa all the time, Hamilton and Ricciardo fighting through the field, and then, I don't know what, I got a weird satisfaction out of genuinely feeling like Vettel, Bottas and Raikkonen were on the absolute limit the entire 60 laps, in that sort of gap. They were just on the limit all the time. And it reminded me almost of when you're practicing for a league race or the esports event thing, everyone's so on their game on the limit and everyone's just, the margins are so slim when they shave off a few tenths here and there. So I feel like the whole battling across the field was really good. And then obviously seeing, for example, the Renault's a bit further down, Toro Rosso is trying to make something happen, trying to get some points. I really enjoyed the race. I thought there was action at every point whenever they cut onto a camera shot in that race. Something was happening.
Yeah, there was one point where the camera was cutting between Ricciardo and Hamilton. Yeah. Each one was just making a pass when they cut perfectly. So it was that was
that made it into the highlights. I watched the highlights earlier on, and I remember because it was Ted Kravitz wanted to say something. It was hold my beer. There's quite a lot cracking up on track, but that's the thing. Just the fact that everyone was on limit as well. I think Vettel came out of that race saying that he was on the absolute limit because he thought that Ferrari was slower than Mercedes. So the fact that everyone's on limit, everyone's pushing as hard as they can, and the fact that, I think nowadays, what Hamilton showed in that final stint on them super soft tyres, where he was pushing like hell, you heard Brundle every single time, oh my God, what a lap time, pushing as hard as he can, trying to fight through the field, and he got to the end, towards the final couple of laps, trying to overtake Raikkonen, he had one chance and blew it, but just the fact that you knew that his tyres were gone now, so you know how much he was pushing, and that, I don't know about you two, but that just makes me excited. The fact that the drivers, especially the likes of Vettel, Hamilton, Raikkonen, big names, pushing like that, it bodes well for next year at least, with a slight change in regulations, but,
Well, that's the thing,
really
it didn't feel like a race where everyone was just floating along. I genuinely felt like Vettel was at the limit, and Bottas was he's not a Hamilton, but he was also on his limit, and even Raikkonen had good pace for a race. He was technically only 5 seconds behind Vettel all race, so I think Raikkonen also, considering he had that electrical fault on the grid minutes before the lights went out, I think also he had a good race. So yeah, I agree. I think Mercedes were the faster car. I think if Hamilton had stuck it on pole, I think we know who would have won that race. But yeah, still, Vettel had to get the start nailed, and I think that's the first time that I can remember in a while that Vettel's actually managed to get a good start, actually go forward instead of backwards. And
Austin, he picked up a position at the start. He beat Hamilton,
true.
But
I think I liked his start this time around. I like it was very aggressive but close.
It was Verstappen-esque.
There was that replay. It was that replay camera shot of a camera. I think it was a cameraman instead of an actual just a movable electronic
just
camera
on the apex.
Panning. Yeah, really close. And you saw that moment where Bottas turned a little bit in and then turned just out again with his wheel, that split second of that. For me was you appreciate how much. Again, I'm going to use the word on the limit the drivers are. It's that tiny split second of, okay, I'm good. If I don't jig the wheel a little bit right, I'm going to make contact with him. So don't make contact. That little bit of reaction was the thing that got Vettel that place ultimately to go a little bit wide and take the next corner to finish the CNRS. So that was a really nice start from
don't apply to everyone though, do they? As we saw further down the field at turn one.
Yeah,
a little bit messy down below. And to be fair, I expressed my opinions quite loudly towards the Haas drivers.
Yeah,
but
just a bit.
it's always them, isn't it? It's always the Haas drivers that are in the issues.
I'll cut Magnussen some slack on that one, because I can understand if he didn't see Ricciardo, because I don't think I would have noticed that either, to be honest. Like, I'm talking like even if you're in a flipping game, like you wouldn't know. Ricciardo was technically off the track anyway, so.
In fairness, not many of them, not many drivers in the midfield do that sort of thing that Ricciardo does. Where it's like, I'll just go around the outside here. But
the Grosjean one got me completely like vexed. Like, my Brundle was saying, "How the hell has he got a 10-second time penalty? That's harsh." I'm like, he just what?
Well, apparently Grosjean did have a puncture. This was the thing, apparently. But I've watched the onboard so many times. And they have the data. But the way that he span wasn't like he had a puncture. It literally just looked like he dropped it initially. And but obviously they can disprove it with the data, and I'm not going to deny that. But I was genuinely vexed because you ruined Ocon's streak. Because I get it. This is so sad.
But it was just so painful.
2 punctures, there was no chance of getting it back. It was just so sad because, and even though Ocon was out, it wasn't even due to his own fault. He was trying to make a bold move around the outside, which, fair play to him, he was actually doing quite well until he got sideswiped.
All streaks come to an end at some point.
Yeah. I mean, last time he retired was 2014 in Macau.
I mean, by a lot of averages, I think, after that race now, Hamilton has got 24 consecutive point scoring finishes. So he's now tied with, I think, Michael Schumacher in second place with 24 now. So the record's 27, I think, from Kimi, or 26. So
that was his streak
by a lot of averages, he'll either continue on, or very soon he'll probably
beginning of next season, you would say.
No, knowing how it's typical that he's won the championship and he had an absolute mirror on Saturday qualifying, he'll probably DNF at Abu Dhabi finally after all this time.
It was surprising to see Hamilton in the wall, though. Like I switched off qualifying. Oh, I didn't switch it off, but I just switched off paying attention because I was just so shocked. Because that's the first time, and you can see why he was pissed off with himself. That's the first time he's put it in the wall at all this year by himself. To go 18 races without putting it in the wall. I know everyone has spins and everything, but I don't know whether Vettel's put it in the wall or not by himself. Has he?
If you count Singapore after the contact with Verstappen.
I suppose, but that was due to damage already. But then again, you could argue that the opening, you could argue that the opening lap,
just a random, like a mistake. No, I don't think so.
I can't remember the last time he had
it was
one.
It was very, very odd.
But it just goes to show, they're both 4-time world champions, so you can see why that's basically the outline behind it. But I don't know, it was a very shocking sort of. You just didn't expect it at all.
Having a flash as well from the onboard, just like, it's gone.
It was riding on board with it. I don't know. It's just the fact that he dropped it. I think because everyone was watching, it was like, even when he span, everyone was expecting him not to hit the wall. Even commentators were like, "Oh my god, he's hit the wall!" He's actually gone and done it.
I didn't get that part. I watched back the replay, Brundle commentating over it, and I was like, "Why is he surprised he's hit the wall?" Because he was going.
I was
fast.
he's in the wall here. Yeah,
he was going so fast. So of course he's going to hit the wall.
Brundle had a few
drops it.
Dodgy ones this weekend. The Grosjean penalty one, like I said, that one, how he could not believe he got a 10-second penalty. That one was honestly, are we watching different races here?
I feel like he definitely thought it was some sort of issue with the car made him spin, because he was I remember one line, he was Grosjean was damned if he did and damned if he didn't brake into that corner more.
Yeah, if he would
so
brake.
It's to me, I think he was completely convinced that it was something with the car.
And also he
which
said,
maybe is the case. I'm not too sure.
Well, maybe it was. Yeah,
he said something along the lines that he ran out of something. And then talent.
Run out of talent, yeah. He run out of grip, then talent. And that said everything. Because, then again, Massa actually caught his car, didn't he? When did he catch it? Can't remember what part of the weekend, but he caught his car in that exact moment. So everyone was like, oh, Massa's clearly a better driver than Hamilton. Just to get everyone triggered and everything.
Horrible to drive. That team radio, when he was being told about a 10-second time penalty, you could see him going down that downhill left-hander, just constantly doing that.
Yeah, there was no downforce.
It looked horrible to drive.
Very, very horrible. Yeah. But I'm trying to think,
team by team order, just to sort of
I
guess.
That's the thing. It had its moments, but I can see why people didn't enjoy it, because it a lot of the time it was But it depends who you support, I guess. But it had the promise of everyone's like, okay, Hamilton's gonna
No, I think there was a good amount of action throughout the entire.
Can I just say,
like
you could really notice a fresh power unit on a Mercedes. That's what I'm going to say.
You can, can't you?
Like, you can even hear that because obviously we went this year in real life, but you can notice when that car's got the wick turned up because it's the loudest car you can hear on the TV, and he was running the rev limiter like much harder than anyone else. Like you could really hear that car was being given a good old workout. Obviously,
it's a shame that it is kind of like down to that, but obviously, even if it's still incredible, like that Mercedes. But then again, it also outlined how shit it is in dirty air. Like that understeer on that car
wasn't as bad as the last race though.
Yeah, it wasn't as bad as Mexico, but yeah, for sure, you could still see it there. And then for Bottas, as we kind of mentioned, he was on his limit, I guess. He admitted he just lost it at the start. I feel like I think if he got into turn 1 first, I think he could have actually held it maybe for first place then.
No, I think he would have. I think the pace was so similar. I just think
because it was so close on the pit stop, wasn't it? Like
if you add in the dirty air effect, Bottas was never going to get past Vettel unless Vettel made a mistake.
Yeah.
Well, the thing was from qualifying, everyone was saying that, but now that Hamilton's out of play, Bottas needs to get this pole, needs to, because just for his own merit and just to kind of get people on his side again, including team management. So the fact they did put it on pole was respectable, very good pole lap, even though it was obviously by fine margins, but that's what Formula 1's about.
Yeah.
But the fact that he did lose it into turn 1, it didn't seem like he had any other opportunity. I thought that he should have been a bit more forceful with the undercut. Pushing the undercut, when can we pit? Because it feels like he's a bit too laid back in them sort of scenarios. Whereas, I think if you put, a Vettel behind a car or Hamilton behind a car, both of them are thinking, right, how the hell am I getting back in front? Whereas Bottas, I think, kind of leaves it to the team a little bit. Maybe it might be wrong. Maybe he might have said something.
Here's the thing, so I don't think talking is his strong point.
Yeah, talking is not his strong point, but I felt like he could have been a little bit more on it, a bit more switched on when it came to.
I thought it was pretty good. Even though Hamilton was charging through the field this weekend, Brazil isn't a place where he's traditionally gone very well at, so I don't think we would have seen a big difference. I genuinely think that top 4 was very close because I think Vettel actually bottled his up or something. He said he chickened out of it, didn't he? So I think they would have been really close. Hamilton's only won here once, and that was last season. Before that, he'd never won it before, so it's not a track that he's gone particularly well at. So I think all in all, they were close. I think Mercedes just had the edge, but it was pretty close for performance. I was quite surprised, to be fair.
I'd like to see a rerun of the weekend with Hamilton.
It goes to show also Red Bull with a toned down engine. Nothing.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get to them soon enough, but that was also definitely a debacle for all the Renault powered teams this weekend. So I mean, we kind of covered Ferrari almost as well, kind of in that same kind of swoop.
Raikkonen's had a solid few races. He's got 3 points in the spin, but he's had a solid couple of races, Raikkonen. I've got to say, his pace has been good.
It's been good, but Vettel's always been better. That thing that I don't see any fire left.
The case.
Yeah, but I feel in the last few races, I feel like Raikkonen's been closer to the Vettel than what Bottas has to Hamilton. So,
yes, I can agree with that. Also, I don't know whereabouts it was. I don't know what week. I don't know if it was last weekend or this weekend when someone said it. I think it was this weekend. They said that when they leave it to the number 2 drivers to get on with it, when they leave the number 2 drivers to go battle, you can see where the lack of number 1-ness comes from, because it just kind of fall on its face a little bit. I feel like if you saw Hamilton, that's saying the main eyes was on Hamilton all weekend, especially all through that race. And obviously with Vettel on challenge, the only 2 people that could have attacked Vettel were the number 2 drivers. So you kind of think but obviously if Hamilton was behind Vettel in that race and he was 4 seconds behind him on lap 10, you know that the race would have been a little bit more interesting.
I do have a small underlying argument though. Because I was never Rosberg's biggest fan, but you think last year he won the title, but that was in his 7th year in the team. Bottas is only his 1st, so I do think that comes into it a bit. When Hamilton first started for Mercedes, Rosberg was in there for 3-4 years already. So don't get me wrong. I'd give that benefit of the doubt, but I do think Bottas has been further off the pace than I expected him to.
Yeah, that's definitely been clear for a lot of people.
But even at Ferrari. Go on, Arf, sorry.
I mean, that's just finished. Yeah, Bottas he's been off. I mean, we said it so many times. There's been moments of genius, or not genius, but just moments of okay,
just at the pace.
He's turned up a little bit, and then he'll be complete off the next day, and then the next couple of race weekends. So, and Kimi's kind of been the same this season. He's been turned on for phases, and then turned like right now would be a turned on phase, like Tom said, obviously.
To be fair, you could argue though that this is one of Bottas's better weekends because he didn't drop off fully, but he even still had that moment where, you know, when they put on the fresh softs and it was like, right, okay, let's see what their pace is like. And it was always like, Bottas is not enjoying them softs. It's like, when does he ever enjoy his tyres? Oh, wait, at the end of the stints. Because even Verstappen was doing faster laps than Bottas.
In the last race in Mexico, like Arif, I think we also together when we argued about, not argued, but we talked about, obviously, because Hamilton was out of the picture, even when Verstappen was leading comfortably, Bottas did respond with some fastest laps, and I think on the day, like, he seemed to have good pace around there as well, because you could see Hamilton, he was really struggling. So, I don't know, I think at the same time, I think Bottas has been alright the last few races. I don't think he's been great, but I don't think, have we really seen what Bottas being great is? That's my question. I feel like
just don't know.
I don't think Bottas has another gear, to be honest with you. So I think this is the best you're going to get with him, and he'll be there to pick up the points when Hamilton isn't. But I think that's pretty much it for Merc.
Yeah, just with Ferrari as well. Like, well, that's the thing. I think we can probably say it was probably like a similar sort of gap between Vettel and Raikkonen. Probably Raikkonen was on it a bit more all weekend. But I think that just goes to show. I think Brazil kind of just outlines what this season's been about. It has been more about, even in a slightly less superior car, if you get ahead, you can probably keep it more often than not. Obviously, other races hasn't proved that. For example, Austin, Hamilton was clearly faster. Malaysia, Verstappen was clearly faster. So both of them made overtakes in the early stages of the race. But obviously then that just sets it up for pretty much a slam dunk to the end of the race. But that's pretty much been the story of 2017. So if we see a slightly off-pace Red Bull take the lead in Turn 1, don't be surprised if they win. Put it that way. But talking about Red Bull, again, on the engine, it's just Renault turning down their turbos.
And then Ricciardo just made his way back through as best he could and got back to pretty much the maximum he could have hoped for. All weekend, all the Renault teams had to turn down. It was the speed of their turbo fan that was spinning. So especially up the hill, I think they were lacking a little bit.
It was traction, wasn't it?
I thought they dropped off more than what I expected. I feel like I don't think Red Bull would have had the pace this weekend. Because you could see that Merc and Ferrari were on the limit of what they can do. So I think they might have been in the same positions anyway. Maybe like a Verstappen could have maybe like got in amongst like a Raikkonen or something. But I think they would have been a little bit further off than I expected anyway, because they did seem quite a way off.
Well, the thing is with Merc and Ferrari, like they were always trading sector times in the first sector. Even though you'd say that in the first and third sector the Mercedes should be best, Ferrari were always there to match them. Whereas you could see the obvious
the best
gap.
Middle sector, even that.
No.
So that just goes to show that they weren't really.
But when they did put on the fresher tyres, Verstappen was trying to hold on with the faster laps, but obviously it kind of fell through. But to be fair play to Verstappen, because he just about held on to the top. Obviously, he did drop off at the end because he made that pit stop. Because apparently it's been now known that they get a bonus for fastest laps.
Red Bull drivers do,
the Red Bull drivers get, which is actually quite funny because now you know whenever Verstappen wants to make a late pit stop, you know why. It's because he wants a little bit more extra dough. But to be fair, Verstappen had a massive gap behind. I think it was a team that was saying don't, just in case Verstappen,
just in case something happens.
Hamilton and Raikkonen have a little bit of a kerfuffle and there's a podium on the cards. But when Hamilton was just kind of sat behind Raikkonen, I think they just thought, you know what, just carry on. But fair play to Ricciardo. When does he not ever pull off good moves like that? Like the amount of times he was diving into turn 1 and turn 4, and I winced, like properly winced, because he's so late on the brakes. Like,
I've been critical lately, but he was good this weekend, and also he said like in qualifying he would have rather run the soft hard than the super soft because the super wasn't working for them. But fair play to me. He performed this weekend back to his best. I just wish you get that top 6 on the same part, on the same straight or same bit of tarmac more often.
Yeah. That's what we've been saying all season, to be honest. Hopefully next season reliability is a bit better. But other than that, with Red Bull, I think they kind of kept their nose out of the whole Renault issue. They just went, fair enough. We just want to finish the race.
Until their car started blowing up, then another problem.
Yeah, I mean the only Red Bull kind of instigation that was that moment in the paddock when Helmut Marko was like caught talking to, I can't remember his name, the guy from Renault,
Cyril
something.
Yeah,
Abiteboul.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, he was talking to him, and then it looked a little bit frosty from Renault's side of things. But I guess moving down the order in terms of the way we're doing it. So I guess Williams, then Massa and Stroll, very polar opposites race. Obviously, Massa's last, this time actual last home Grand Prix. One would hope. I think. And yeah, this time round it was actually a nice send-off. Well, it was a nice send-off last year, but he crashed and then had the nice send-off. Whereas this year, obviously, he finished it with, pretty much like I tweeted it, like he basically won Formula 1B because like none of the other there is a huge gulf from the top three teams. So pretty much he did literally the best he could have hoped for.
To be fair play to him because he had a stellar weekend. Like he was pulling out some incredible laps in qualifying. It's a shame
his
that
record was brilliant at Brazil. To be fair.
Oh yeah, like obviously like in complete contrast to Barrichello, who had like the worst one. But well, like I just thought he was performing well all weekend. Like Q3 was a shame that Carlos Sainz purposely, I don't know, allegedly got in the way of him in Q3, but it's a shame because he would have been right up there, like battling with Alonso, and it was great to see Massa and Alonso go at it pretty much all race. It's a shame that it was kind of set in stone just because that Honda was so slow compared to the Mercedes.
That would have been over in a flash if Alonso.
Yeah, Alonso would have been street bats, but it was still gave us quite an interesting battle, and fair play to Massa, who just he basically won Formula B. So, and then in complete contrast to Stroll, who failed in Formula Z. Back right at the back, getting like that kid loves a good lock up, doesn't he? He really does love a good lock up.
About it. But to be fair, he did say to come in, but the team were like, "No, you're staying out."
No,
so I guess that was.
We don't know, right? He has to. Right, here's the thing, because he kind of dug himself into his own hole there because he did a massive lock up on his left front, and the team said it wasn't an issue. Like he said, it wouldn't end his race until he put another fucking huge flat spot on it, and then the tyre literally started to shred to pieces. So, compared to his good weekends recently,
he could give the argument that because of that first one, it made the second one occur.
But I don't think the team expects him to just keep putting huge flat spots on tyres. I think eventually they're like, okay, can you stop now, please?
Yeah.
Because you're kind of destroying our Pirellis. But in comparison to Mexico, a bit of a complete polar opposite weekend. I know he missed FP3, but to be fair, I don't think he'd ever driven into Lagos before, but. And in comparison to a Brazilian driver at his home Grand Prix, it's still a pretty wet weekend on the whole of it. And McLaren,
Van
Dorn was over pretty quickly.
Just because before we move on, we're on Williams. Apparently, small rumour confirmation, Kubica's confirmed as Massa's replacement.
Yeah, I saw that rumour. It wasn't confirmed anywhere else apart from I think it was it the French outlet?
Canal Plus. They're normally pretty, when they say something like that, it tends to happen. On a race-by-race contract, which is...
Race-by-race?
Pay as you go.
Pay as you go,
no,
Robert
because
Kubica.
I think that they probably have faith in him, but at the same time, they're going to give him the chance of okay, how was that race? Did it go well? And then be like, yeah, it's fine. Or maybe he'll say, yeah, I got a bit of pain, I don't know if I can do this or whether drafting.
It's not the best foundation though, is it? It's a bit of a rocky foundation.
No, who wants to go to Williams? Honestly,
I know, but that means that for Williams himself, that means they've got Stroll as the number one driver. That you make of that what you will, and then you've got a number two driver who's on a pay-as-you-go contract from Carphone Warehouse.
Mental.
I don't
see. Obviously, they're going to challenge for the title next season. Is what you're saying.
No, what I mean is, it's just if they want to move forward, which this year it doesn't look. Can't work out if they've moved forward or back. It changes race by race.
No, it's
not the best foundations. Of all things in the team, you kind of need a solid driver partnership. I think we've kind of seen it with Toro Rosso at the end of this year. Constantly swapping in and out of drivers, substituting drivers, doesn't really help in the whole scoring points, but meaning the fact that they haven't scored points in 4 races.
Or if their power units turn into digestive.
Yeah, to be fair, they have got digestive power units, but I don't know. I just feel like it's not the best solution. I feel like they need to get a little bit more of a stable foundation and get someone experienced. But yeah, maybe Kubica might be the good solution. We'll see. The amount of rumours that we've heard.
Flying about, rumours left and right.
Everywhere.
So should we move on? Moving down, so likes of Force India, Toro Rosso, Renault.
Just Toro Rosso, really, the whole engine drama thing.
Yeah, I think that's a bit more interesting. I mean, Force India had quite a quiet race. Renault the same quiet race. Bro. So Toro Rosso really the more interesting kind of team.
I feel sorry.
There were times when Verline was similar pace, if not faster than Hartley and Gasly.
Yeah, I mean,
Toro Rosso is bad.
From the back of the grid, they both had excellent starts getting through the chaos. Which was really good, and they were in the points. The Gasly was 10th, and I think Hartley was 12th, I think it was, when the safety car came out. And then, yeah, they just kind of fell backwards and tried their best. Hartley even lost his radio and then somehow brought it back. And, like, I was watching his interview. It sounded like he had the wire caught or, like, detached. And he had to, like, sort of try and feed it through whilst he was driving or something. Because he was like, at the end of his interview, he was like, I'm just going to say I found the right hole eventually or something. So it sounded like he had to
when the radio came back, it reminded me of Hamilton, who lost his radio a few races ago, and he's like, "Oh, I can hear you again. Hey,
yeah,
what's going on?"
Yeah, But that it surprised me though, because, like, you know, when Hamilton got it back, they had a massive catch-up session. Hartley was just like, "Oh, I've got my radio back, cool," and then back to silence again. I was like, "Come on, then, use your radio, catch up on the race and everything." I feel sorry for Hartley though. I feel so sorry for him because he's had some shit luck with that Renault engines, like every weekend. I think he's had.
I said it.
2 engine
and now
failures.
He's somehow going to end up as a full-time F1 driver at 28. That's unbelievable.
To be fair, he's found a little gem. Somehow he's worked his way back to Formula
basically, they're not too far off getting early practice for 2018. I mean, the amount of engines that are popping off from Renault, I mean, that's what they're going to have to get used to next season with Honda. So.
Well, interestingly enough, do they have enough components to even turn up to Abu Dhabi?
I've read this.
Have they actually gone through that many power units that they need to buy more off Renault? Like, that's bad. That's very bad. Like, oh my god. That's terrible. And the fact that... Oh, well, to be fair, I bet... Well, they're Renault are blaming it on Toro Rosso, aren't they? They're saying that they...
Like, the way they've, like... I don't know, like, what is it? Like, the way they, like... What? Like, treat their engines, basically.
Yeah, well, obviously, we've always known that, like, the Honda development was quite difficult because McLaren packed it in so tightly and they had to keep opening it up just to give it a bit of air. But... I don't know. How long have Toro Rosso been with Renault? I know they've always been switching in and out between Ferrari and Renault, but why has this issue suddenly come up now? It's just
it's a bit odd. It's a bit weird.
But I can't really like review either of their races because the only thing I can remember from Hartley is the fact that he did well not to slow.
Gasly made a really nice move into turn one, which I really enjoyed. It was kind of like Ricciardo's just like pouncing into turn one. I think it was on one of the Williams cars, I think, of Stroll.
Yeah. He did quite well.
So against the Mercedes power unit, I thought that was very nice and bold of him to go to turn one. That was the kind of the flash of what I think Gasly's capable of. And I tweeted out, it's a shame that those two, even Hartley, it's a shame they can't really show what they actually have in that car. You know, some people are arguing, I think that's just them. I really don't think it is. I don't think both of them, I think they're both decent enough, especially Gasly. I really think it is the car being a huge bottleneck for them to show anything.
Well, then again, if you compare it to Ricciardo, who was at Toro Rosso, he was never, like, he was good, but he never, like, he always showed, like, little bits, but he was never amazing all the time. I think you do need to get that step up.
Just the engine thing alone, like, if we look back a bit earlier on this season, you could clearly see, like, the likes of Sainz was able to show some, you know, a talent there because the car was there for him. But now the car is basically just falling to bits with its engine internally. It's just like, it's just tough.
Sainz, like, how many engine failures has he had this season with Toro Rosso? Like, the last one I can think of was Malaysia when he was running in, like, 7th. And he got hit out with an engine failure. So they've had this issue all season, and they haven't clearly made any progress to actually go forwards with it. But hey ho, if we're moving to McLaren, what's new? Like, it made me laugh. To be fair, Alonso really did make me laugh when he said, "Good luck to Toro Rosso next year." Like, that is a massive shots fired. Like, massive shots fired.
They just don't care anymore. Like, I saw an interview with Lando Norris talking about his future in F1. He was like, obviously Fernando's going to enjoy next year a lot more with the Renault power. Like, they don't care. The PR's out the window. It's like, yeah, screw Honda.
I can't put my finger on the situation though, because I just feel like since they announced the departure, they've been alright. I know reliability's been terrible, but pace-wise, I mean, at least Alonso, I know he's on the limit, but
apart from the fact that they were the two slowest cars all weekend in the straight line.
In the straight, yeah, but I mean, like, look at Alonso's right. He beat both Renaults.
It was 15 k's down on the straight.
Yeah, but that's not the power unit. That's just the car making up time in sector 2, and then Alonso driving the wheels off it. I think more than just the power unit being okay.
Oh, well, that chassis is now really, really good. Or I don't know, maybe the power unit.
The car's good. The car's really good. Yeah, the car's good. It's just like, you can see why. Like, I think even like just the rest of the paddock could just like actually feel sorry for you because
it's just like
you're so slow in a straight line.
It's tough to kind of like put all the like belief in it, but I really do think that if nothing goes wrong for them in pre-season and they haven't bodged the car design up for next year, they should be hoping they're instantly there with Red Bull.
Well, usually, like, the development, especially with new regs, is you develop that car. So whatever you get new regs, you develop that. So in theory, that car should be good.
If McLaren don't do what they did in 2012 to 2013 and be like, we're going to change everything, change the philosophy, and it became just a crap fucking Bronco car. If they don't do that and they just continue with this path and they make a step up, likewise with Red Bull, like keep pace with the step up on the chassis, they should be there.
Literally, just rock up at Australia with this car, with the Halo on and a Renault power unit, and they're good. Top 8.
To be fair, they would be actually quite good, but I don't know. It's just like it said everything when Alonso wasn't planning on actually passing Massa. He was planning on staying with him to defend from Perez, which on the line actually proved quite crucial because Perez almost pipped him at the line. So he was just like, "Don't tell me about Perez. I know he's coming. Let me just stick with Massa. Let me catch up to Massa. I'm not going to be able to overtake him, but he can just drag me across the line," which was actually quite clever thinking.
Just use him as toe line.
But
so
I think that actually works quite nicely for the next topic, which obviously we spoke about Brazil now. A bit of a summary of the race, but speaking of engines, obviously for next season, cutting down to 3 engines to reduce costs.
Oh no!
Now. No. I've got a bit of a bone to pick with this, and almost like a mini rant, because I can't see the pros exceeding the cons with going from 4 down to 3 here, especially when it comes to saving costs, because first of all, the amount teams have got, not teams, manufacturers have to invest into researching higher reliability to get them from 4 down to 3 races on. That obviously doesn't cost free, that costs money. And then because of said stricter engine regs, it's only going to mean more penalties unless the system changes, therefore more new components. And I'm pretty sure Honda won't give a toss that there's 3 engines when they can't even make the season with 8 or 9.
No,
so
won't.
There is literally no... Just because you said from 4 down to 3 doesn't mean Honda are going to be like, okay, only 3 engines now. I genuinely believe, I don't think no team is going to be able to cope with 3 next season. Like, what was it? I think it was last season they tried to go to 4 last season and they couldn't do it, so they pushed it back up to 5.
Yeah.
I believe the same thing's going to happen. Like, there is no way in a year by year they're going to get them to go like an engine less. And if you want to save costs, cutting down on the engines per race is not going to do that for you, because it's going to cost more to research those more reliable engines and improve on said reliability. So
I swear Mercedes won't even be able to manage that.
No,
I genuinely don't think that Mercedes-powered teams could take 3
and we've got 21 races next year as well.
Units.
I think
more races
with Germany.
To
and
be fair,
France.
The only thing that I can see, like the positive coming from this, is yes, Tom, it's gonna push the costs up in terms of trying to research into more reliable components. But obviously, it means that their focus with the money will actually be more on reliability rather than trying to push performance.
Yeah, but
obviously, it's the philosophies behind and the ethics behind. What? Because obviously, like you say, Honda, they might just literally go start the season, right, we're just going to accept the fact that we're going to take loads of engine penalties, but we're just going to make a really good quick engine, which is not going to go in any direction. I think Mercedes might make the action, might take a step forward to try and make them more reliable, which the reliability, I can't remember. Has a Mercedes car actually had an engine failure this year?
It's crazy because drivers, once again, won't be able to push as much.
Yeah, like during the race, they'll be like basically bottlenecked in terms of like, okay,
Even
don't go into this mode. You're only allowed mode 5 out of 8 on this steering wheel because it'll blow the engine up.
They're cutting down on costs in the wrong area. I mean, yes and no. They have to cut down costs on the engine, but that's not the way to do it because that's just
the cutting the costs on the engine is a long-term plan that they're playing.
We can't have one engine by the year 2020 for a whole season. It's not going to happen. So, like, it just looks impossible to me because it's like anything. They're going to dedicate themselves so much and so hard on trying to make those 3 engines last that they might invest in other areas, and it's going to cost money anyway. And even still, like, if one does go, they're going to have to put that full one in anyway, and the cost is going to... I don't know. It's like, just because you want 3 doesn't mean there only will be 3, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
If an engine pops, that can happen at any team at any time, you're going to have to spend that money to get a new one anyway. So literally, there is just... makes no sense to me.
Imagine if you get an engine failure in FP1 in Australia.
Exactly, that's it.
That's the Honda. That'll happen.
Even if it's just one component, you're still fucked, basically. But
you lose like an MGK, you lose an MGH.
It's a good thing you bring up there, Tom. To be fair, because obviously with conserving, is at the minute I think we're in a very good place because in recent years we've been hating the fact that drivers have even been saving tyres, been saving fuel. But now it's like, okay, they're not saving tyres anymore. They're not saving tyres anymore. They're not saving fuel anymore, apart from the odd race when someone gets a little bit thirsty. But now it looks like we're just saving the car, which obviously we've been kind of trying to push away from that. That's what we don't want.
Yeah.
So the fact that they are bringing it down to 3 is actually kind of sad because, let's say, I don't know, like a Ferrari drops from the field, and it looks like they're only going to pick up maybe 1-2 points, and they don't think it's actually and they think that they might have to take an engine penalty later on. They could easily just retire the car and just say, you know what, maybe then 1 or 2 points is not worth it, and we might have like a better opportunity later on in the season, use that engine to win the race. Like, I don't know. I know it's a very extreme example, but like, I don't want us to go back down that route of let's save. I'd much rather.
F1 has to take a decision,
it's irritating.
especially going into 2021. They've got to make a choice. Do they want to go for the whole green safety protection thing, or do they just want to go for like what's made it good for the past, which is just clean, hard racing?
Also, the thing is as well, with 3 engine components or 3 power units, when they get to 2021, surely they're going to have to put that up.
Yeah, they will.
They're not going to be reliable from the get-go. I know they've had all this.
Yeah, they will do.
All these past years.
Yeah, it just makes it even more nonsensical.
Which makes no point. There's no point behind that. What's the point in going? Oh yeah, well in 2018, we're limited you to 3, but you can have 6
also,
now.
I mean, the idea behind them brakes is also the engines will be cheaper to produce. Hence why they've changed some of the things like removing the MGH. But even still, like their way of cutting costs is so weird, man. I still don't get. That's such like a weird philosophy.
I mean, this is like,
because
to be fair,
this rule running on the weekend, like
this rule is like old F1. Like this rule probably was made pre-2014.
Bernie.
Yeah, it's still like from the Bernie era, so it's kind of like, okay, that's why it's so stupid. It's like grandfathered in basically because these technical regulations have been written in for like basically this entire era up until 2021. So.
4 years ago, we had 8 engines a season. 4 years ago.
Yeah.
To be fair,
a bit mental, isn't it?
I wouldn't mind.
Here's my issue: that they complain about the penalty system, about the engines. I think that the penalty system's fine because
no, it isn't.
For me,
that's a problem.
You should get harshly punished if you exceed the engine limit. I just don't agree with the amount of allocated engines there are at the moment. I know they're expensive to produce. But that's another problem.
I think
back in 2013, it was right. If you had to change an engine back then, when you had 8 engines, if you had to take a 10 places seems fair because it's a big change to happen. But now it's like the system should stay the same, but at the same time, it doesn't work with the current formula we have. So it's all flawed.
If you're having that little engines, I don't think the penalty system makes sense. I think the penalty system we have makes sense when there are 8 engines and you're going to a 9th. It's like, you're going to a 9th. You're just being stupid. Why are you going to a 9th? You don't need a 9th. But because we're having like 3, 4, the penalty system doesn't make sense to me because it's like they're being choked so hard and it's like it's the team thing. It's not a driver issue. It's a team thing. So why not penalise the team with points and then let the driver get on with it with a new engine? Because it's a team thing. The driver can't do anything. But I think the penalty system made sense when it was 8 engines. Because, like, you already have 8. Like, why do you need a 9th?
Exactly. Like,
well,
even
back then,
the system's wrong. But, like, I mean, I still don't think they should have, like, 4 or 5 engines. I think there should be, like, a few more. But, like I said, hopefully with 2021, they'll hopefully have, like, 5 or 6 to choose from. I understand the cost cutting, but it's just the wrong place to cut. And I don't think reducing engines is the way for that because...
I don't think reducing the number, but as in, like I said, the actual cost of the engine is a long-term problem they can't solve right now. They have to wait till 2021. So the only, it's like basically like they're just sitting there like the only way we can solve this is cutting the number of engines. Cut one out.
But it doesn't make sense because if a Ferrari goes pop in FP1, like Cal said, they've got to put that engine in anyway, like the 4th one. So.
Yeah, it's not like they can't put it in. That's the thing. It's not like it's not going to stop them from putting it in.
Yeah, it's not like
even back in the day, though.
Sense to me.
It's not like by round 8, like Toro Rosso just stopped turning up to the races because they don't have a Honda.
There's no point now.
Sorry,
that 10 place group
penalty. 3 Hondas in the back, mate.
The engines are what they are. Essentially, all this means is just that there's going to be more penalties than this season. That's what it means. So get used to the 65 plus because there's going to be more
that pisses me off though. It's like obviously like back in the day, like when it was 8 engines a season. The only driver I can remember off the top of my head who got hit by engine penalties was Sebastian Vettel in 2009 when his engines kept going pop. in Valencia, I can't remember, like 2 of his engines went pop and he was struggling. But other than that, no one ever got it. So I can see why it was more of a thing back then in the Eccleston era. At the minute, like what Arav said, we need to get rid of these the grid penalties. It's the same with gearboxes. Why is it the driver's fault? Why do they have to be 5 places back from their qualifying position? Because he's taken a new
in Mexico.
Yeah.
For like on Ocon's car, Chelis at Mexico, the last corner, he binned it. Could have easily been a gearbox there. Like, why should Ocon take a gearbox for that?
Yeah. Like, I know, even if, like, okay, let's say a driver crashes, wrecks the left rear tyre, that breaks the gearbox, new gearbox. Okay, you can probably say that's a little bit more fair. Okay, but then you think Vettel being hit by Stroll after the race, if he got a gearbox penalty, it doesn't really make much sense. Take points off the team or find the teams and put that money towards something, either towards research and development into safety, into, I don't know, somewhere else in the FIA.
If that makes no sense,
tracks.
If they're cutting costs in the engine, why the hell would you fine them for?
But you'd fund that back into actually making, I don't know, decent FOM graphics. They were breaking all weekend. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just fund it back into the sport in a positive way. Don't care where, don't care how. I'm sure the FIA can come up with something quite decent where they need a little bit more dough, but don't fine the drivers because, I don't know, when, for example, Schumacher 2012 Monaco, you wouldn't expect him to get a pole, and it was completely whipped away because of a grid penalty. I know that was for a different reason because he obviously crashed into the back of Senna the previous race, but I don't know. It's just them sort of scenarios where you think, oh, if you had a 5-place grid penalty, it just ruins the whole thing, just ruins qualifying.
That's another thing, like, even that one, like, you could have just given him penalty points instead.
I think they need to focus it just on, yeah, that's the thing as well.
I think you...
A weekend ahead is affecting the weekend before. Like,
I think you made a good point, Arab, about just, like, 3 is what they want, but if you go past, like, 6, then at that point, you are taking penalties, because you don't need that many.
Yeah, it's like taking the piss.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Like, if you're going to go past the recommended 3, like I said, maybe I don't know, like anything, like maybe like you can have the component, but you can only run it at 95% performance. I don't know, like they'll think of something, but like there's ways around it.
But you've got to make it so it attracts fans as well, because you don't want to make it too complicated.
And cutting down
at the minute, grid penalties are actually quite clever.
Fans are not getting their money.
Yeah,
fans are not getting their money. It's worth like there's going to be no running. Especially if it's wet, sessions. Nothing at all.
Yeah, like, well, whenever there's been a wet session this year, and it's been like a one-off wet session where, like, you know, the rest of the weekend's going to be dry, there's been no running at all. Like, could you imagine us turning up to FP1 in, like, Spa next year, and it's just raining, you're like, oh, sick, yeah, cool.
No one's out.
Yeah. Or spent all this money, all this effort to get here, and no one is on the track.
That's what I'm saying.
So... That's the bubble in the nutshell. I think that's how it ran. The only other thing really is about the tyre. Yeah, the softer, super duper soft.
Softy
I can't believe it's not soft.
Yeah.
Can I just say this is the stupidest?
I vote.
It was funny last year.
This was shit.
Name the tyre Stephen Allen. All right.
Yeah. Now, honestly, like I don't get why some boffin at Pirelli hasn't just realised. Oh, well, at the minute we've got an Ultra, and I think Ultra is a bit like. Bearing in mind that means they're turning up to the weekend and the soft tyre, even at the minute, we're turning up to the weekend and the soft tyre is the hardest tyre there. That's weird enough. But now the fact that the super soft tyre can be the hardest tyre there is quite alarming. So why don't they just step it all back, make the ultra hyper extreme soft?
Take the compounds we have, get rid of the hard tyre, add in a new softer tyre, and then rename them one like a group up. Because like whenever we used the hard tyre, like twice this year,
they were once or twice.
They
were going to bring it to Japan
once or twice.
They
just get rid of it and just allow Spain to be like a one-off like 4-stop race and just get rid of the hard tyre. No one needs it. Not needed.
That's the thing. Like this year, the pit stops have been quite good. I like the fact it's been 1 or 2 stops. I think it's kept the races still quite interesting.
The 2 stops are good. I'm still not a fan of 1 stops.
I saw a comment and it was good. They should just have 3 compounds: soft, medium, hard. Just 3, but make it so the difference in performance between
it's just
each
a
tyre.
Yeah, it's just a
like,
name.
For example, if you go for a hard, then you'll be able to do a 1-stop race at a cost of performance, like actually at a cost. Whereas if you do go for like a 2-stop running some soft tyres, then you are going to be bloody quick. Like, make the difference between each tyre like exaggerated.
Tweet idea. It was like it wasn't exactly. It was like basically just you just use the name as like a name front. So, like, let's say at Monaco, it's ultra soft, super soft, and soft. And then at, like, what is it? Spain, it's like soft, medium, hard. The actual tyre rubber is the same. Just call them soft, medium, and hard.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But
fair, how many times?
The tyre rubber is the same as they would have brought. So this new tyre they've made, make the new tyre, but let's just go to the new weekend and call it soft, medium, and hard.
Basically, pick 3 compounds and just call them soft, medium, hard, and that'll be a lot easier.
Just slap new stickers on each race.
Yeah, because I think back in the Bridgestone era, we just got prime and option. Like, especially with the green band, you'd have the white band or the green band.
Yeah.
You'd know which tyre is the soft tyre because of the softer of the tyre. And you get it in IndyCar, don't you? You know which one is the option tyre.
And also,
obviously these days with 3,
costs.
Exactly. Or we can do what we've always brought up: give them the whole allocation. Yeah. Pick what you like. You've got 6 compounds. Pick what you like. We'll give you and we'll have it. Yeah, pick a mix and see what you want. And I think that would really twist on its head.
Keep the hard, keep the soft, and keep the ultra soft. Cut out the super and the soft, and cut out the super soft and the medium. So have like those extreme dynamics. So you've got 3. Yeah. Like,
but then you don't want issues where they do like the whole race on one set of tyres and then put on the last lap because it's that bad of a tyre. Because obviously at the minute the hardest compound has been avoided. Like this weekend, no one. Really
like I said, you can have that.
No one used it.
I don't have a problem with that. You can have that, but design the tyres so whichever is the softest available is bloody fast. So that if you are going to go for that strategy, you are going to get caught or you're going to be in trouble if you're not on every lap.
Part of the issue has been like this year. Clearly, Pirelli overestimated how hard the cars are going to torture the tyre. So pretty much most teams have always. Like not bothered with many sets of the hardest available compound that weekend. So I think they've overestimated that. So maybe that naturally will get better. So this may just be them jumping the gun with, we need to introduce a new compound. Like maybe they just need to recalculate how soft they're
going back to 2-3 stops next year, aren't they? They're going softer again. So
see, this is the thing though. This is the big Achilles heel on it because we've just been raving about the fact that this year it's been amazing that the fact that the drivers have been able to push on the tyres. If they do what we're trying to say now of make them softer. That's gone.
But as I was saying, I don't necessarily, like I've said it before, I don't agree they have to be softer. I've said before, and I've said it when we spoke about tyres, they just have to find a way to code the wear into them accordingly. So, for example, you can have, like, on the super soft, you can do 5 full qualifying laps, and after that, there is no way you're doing that lap again. Like,
I think it needs to be like that.
You have to code it in a certain way. Or even, like, you can push as much as you want on the hard compound tyre, but it's only going to give you X performance, and it might feel bloody good on the car, but you're not going to do no lower than X lap time.
I think it needs to be like that. It's like it's like 2011 wear, but not actually the way it translated to the driving. It's not like you're having to like lift and coast or like just protect them. You're just pushing, and it just stops giving performance. So then you pit in.
Yeah.
To be fair, I thought the other day, like obviously because that's the thing, the Pirelli trying to change them due to what the FIA tell them, because obviously the FIA
it's mandatory. It's FIA tells them what to do.
But if you throw another tyre manufacturer into there, then what? That's the thing that I think Formula One needs now. I genuinely think.
We've had that before where it's like Michelin's like, oh, maybe we'll do it, and then they're like, oh no, we don't want to make eroding tyres. No, we don't want to do that. But F1,
but that's the thing. Give the option. Pirelli can go right. Okay, we'll keep making eroding tyres, but usually eroding tyres means quicker tyres.
Yeah.
If Michelin go, okay, we'll just bring like Bridgestone tyres.
Technically, Michelin can make like this super, like the tyres they use for demo runs, which are like super sticky tyres, which I believe are meant to literally be like super fast and also super durable.
But
that's the thing. It pushes tyre development a little bit, which would, it would Pirelli and Bridgestone.
Okay,
I don't know where Bridgestone are because they pulled out F1 and they also pulled out MotoGP like. 2 seasons ago, so they're nowhere right now. Before they were in both sports, now they're in nowhere. So maybe they could have an agenda open. I don't know, but I think we all agree here. Like basically, cut down the compounds, have 3-4 solid compounds,
I think that's
even
it.
just,
We liked the extra
hard,
compound last
medium,
year.
soft, and a qualifying tyre. Like, have
like
4 compounds, put them all available for a race weekend, and that's it. Done.
I like where the tyres are right now. Just stop with the 8 compounds available, and then also just stop with bringing stop allocating 2 hard tyres for the race weekend there. Like Spain, just bun the hard tyre off. Let's just be bold, Pirelli. Just pick the ultra soft or something for that weekend.
Yeah.
If you make that's what we said. If you make all the compounds available, if you go to Spain, for example, Mercedes might go super aggressive. Sauber will go the hardest possible. So that's when you would get the difference in strategy. But unless you make everything available, you ain't gonna get anything. And probably want to add even more compounds down the line. So
no more. I think like 5. That's the thing at the minute. When they added the Ultra Soft last year, we liked it. We really liked it.
It was good. It was good.
And obviously we've all agreed that we like the pink tyre from Austin. So, okay, fair enough, they want to bring the pink tyre in. But I think either we want the same hardness, but just focus, like make sure it's a bit more tuned for the races. Okay, maybe bring the hardest tyres down a little bit in terms of how hard they are. And I just want give drivers a free allocation. Just give them all of them. I think that will, honestly, the strategy behind that would be insane.
Literally,
you'd have almost all 6 different compounds on track.
Design 4 tyres, like hard, medium, soft, qualifying tyre. 4 tyres, wear them accordingly so that you can have like an interesting strategy race and make them all available. Bang. And you can just use them at your own.
And the fact that they want to call it the Hypersoft, why didn't anyone come up with the idea of just calling it the qualifying tyre? Like, and maybe if that looks like it's the tyre only for qualifying, but surely
I think
how soft they get
extreme soft.
Yeah, I think I wanted extreme soft. I think a hyper soft just sounded stupid. And what was the other one? I think it was like I don't even know. Incredibly. You won't believe how soft this tyre is.
Hyper, extreme.
Yeah, I know. I wouldn't mind hyper soft because it kind of makes me think of hyper venom for the Nikes. Hyper venom.
Yeah, that's true. That's the thing. That extreme has always been like it's the most like extreme wet.
Mercurial soft.
Yeah. I don't think you'll have the hyper venom like get like Yeezy, the Yeezy soft,
Mercurial soft. Mercurial soft is actually quite a cool name.
Or Pinky McPink face.
Pinky, let's just go for Softy McSoft face and be it. That's that.
It needs to be cut down, and I think they can't go with the names. They just can't go any softer than Ultra, in my opinion. Like that's about it. Like they've got to rejig the scale. Like obviously I saw forcing them through this without using the word super hard because that can be misinterpreted on live TV as they tweeted super hard.
No, but that's the thing. Like soft, Ultra soft.
Literally, change all the names. So like, if you want to have 5 compounds, starting from purple to orange, just have the extreme soft, super soft, soft, medium, or not even that. Just have extreme soft, medium hard, extreme hard. Oh no.
Could be some hard.
So have extreme at one end, extreme at the other, and then 3 in between.
I respect Pirelli's marketing way of doing it about getting everyone to go vote for this tyre, but other than that...
If they do bring back another tyre, then the only colour they can go back to now is that disgusting dark grey 2012 colour. That's what they have left.
Every time you saw it on the game, it was like, no, I don't want to use it.
India on the hards.
Silverstone on the hards.
Anyway, we've ranted about tyres.
I think that's going to be it for episode number 68. So... if you have enjoyed it, hit that like button. Let us know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, do get subscribed to this channel for the podcast. If you to these two, check them out in the description. As usual, our Twitter handles are above our names. You can check out GT Omega and use the code PitlaneF1 at the checkout, and that will directly help us at the podcast. But we'll see you guys next time. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.